Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, we're talking fireworks. We're going to be seeing a lot of them over the next couple of weeks. One of the biggest displays happens this coming Saturday, July 9th in New London. The Sailfest Fireworks Extravaganza gets underway at 9 o'clock, of course, right over the Thames River. The man behind those fireworks and many others is Augie Santore of Garden State Fireworks. A very busy guy this time of year, but he carved out a couple minutes for us this morning. Thank you for being with us, Augie. Your company's been around since 1890. I would imagine the Santore family has seen some changes in fireworks over that time.
We certainly have, and thanks for having me.
So what can you tell me? What did fireworks look like in 1890? And tell me about some of the innovations today.
You know, my family comes from a rich Italian tradition of manufacturing, where they would have had more cylindrical style fireworks as opposed to your standard fireworks now that are more, round in their actual. They look more like a coconut when they're made. In the cylindrical fireworks, they have often multi-break timings and just a much more elaborate style thing. Like many things have changed over the course of time for efficiency purposes, cost related, and obviously there's a lot of steps that are involved. And the other thing is as these it's really an art form. As it continued over the course of time, less and less people become more hands-on understanding how to actually deal with these, formulas and chemicals and obviously all the dangerous elements that go and get involved to actually manufacturing fireworks.
And I know one of the big issues that you've dealt with sort of as you've moved into the future here is technology. You did the fireworks display at the Biden inaugural, and there were drones involved in it as well. So that sort of incorporates, I think we have some video that we can show, Augie. It incorporates something else right into this whole thing. How do you work with that technology to make these spectacular shows?
There's so much involved with it, obviously, and we're fortunate enough at this point in time to have done so many large productions. So when you talk about the integration of these items, you're obviously dealing with separate platforms, separate technology, and you have to have actually separate safety zones, buffers. So when you're dealing with the design of it, you're designing almost two displays that then kind of integrate into one series of time-coded functions, no different than you would see for, let's say, the Super Bowl or anything else. There's multiple layers of things that are happening. And it's, look, it's a lot to get involved with, but certainly it adds an interesting dynamic to what's going on. We now have the capability to do drones. We did that with partners in the past, but we now have the capability to do that as well. So it's really, really exciting because it gives you a lot of variety of what you can do.
Well, we're looking at some video of the inaugural fireworks, and it's just spectacular. And when you're planning what's going to happen there, what are you thinking about? I mean, are you thinking about the people looking from different vantage points? Or are you just thinking about the overall scene, shot from a camera far back with a wide perspective? How do you plan out what's going to happen?
So, it's interesting. My brother and I designed that show. We were given a total of, I think, 4 days to put it together. So to give you an idea, we didn't sleep. We were up around the clock working on it, essentially. And really, we have a great ability to envision what the sky is going to look like. So if I think I'm going to put a particular style of firework, I know exactly what that firework's going to do. I know how it's going to go. I know what it's going to look like. I know the color patterns, the schemes. And when you deal with fireworks design, you're looking at, obviously, like you said, the panoramic, the width, but you're also trying to look at the height, the scale, the layering, so that you want to be able to build stuff from the ground up. So we took a lot of care and concern to look at our inventories to be able to ascertain how we were going to best highlight. We were given the track, I think, on Friday night that it was going to be Katie Perry's firework, and to get a chance to do it with her live was just really, quite something, extra special. And we just spent a lot of time trying to make sure that we coordinated it, and thankfully we have that ability to kind of already know what it looks like before we put it on a piece of paper. So it's a rare, unique quality. Very few people are able to do something like that, but we've been doing it since we were kids, so it's been a long time.
Well, I know coming up this coming Saturday, the Sailfest fireworks in New London, you said you've been doing fireworks since you were kids. I've been watching fireworks at Sailfest since I was a kid. I know that show is off of a barge in the Thames River. Does that change anything for you? And how long did it take you, a barge versus being on land? And how long did it take you to set up that show?
Yeah, look, it has its challenges, right? Because you're sitting there and you're on a floating platform. Your actual footprint in terms of where you can set the mortars is obviously a lot less than if you were in a football field, for example. So you have to understand how to possibly set that up in a way to get the width in the sky. So I think we do an excellent job of spreading the material out in the sky to create that kind of mass impact as opposed to piling it all up in the center. So that's one little trick that you have to work on. And then, from there, it just takes a lot of preparation. But we really appreciate going out to Sailfest because we're all over the country. Our technicians are all over the place. And it's kind of like we now reunite in Connecticut for putting, a lot of us together. And we kind of get a chance to celebrate together and do these big shows. And it's just the backdrop's outstanding. You can't beat it. The crowd is just massive every time. And I think with a couple years hiatus, hats off to Foxwoods for really working hard to bring this back because I think it's really great for the community.
Now, when you're setting this up, are you able to make adjustments? Say there's a cloud cover that night, or it's foggy, or are you pretty much locked in once you get out there, or are you then getting there and looking at the conditions on the day and saying we got to make some changes or some adjustments?
You really can't make adjustments in that regard, in the sense that the fireworks go a certain height. The show is scripted, it's precast. If I have a blue firework that's supposed to go 300 feet at 2 minutes and 6 seconds, there's nothing to change that. That's it. It's in, it's locked. As far as, the decisions that get made, you try and work with the conditions. You're getting briefings from the Coast Guard. You're dealing with, fire, all the emergency management personnel, sponsors, events, and then you're trying to make, calls for the general safety and the general enjoyment of the public. And, like anything else, there's a lot of factors that get involved in it, from security to, the event itself. So it's never just the fireworks. We're just a piece of a puzzle.
Now, I know from 20 years of doing live television, things can go wrong anytime you're doing anything live. Is it the same thing in fireworks? Do you just, there's going to be fireworks, they're going to be beautiful. You might know something's bad, but the crowd's okay, right? What can you tell us any stories like that?
Well, look, the bottom line is you're absolutely right. Live events they're fluid. And, what we do, we spend a lot of time, fortunately, my day job is I'm a lawyer. So I've been dealing with crisis and problems for about 30 years now. And, my brother's a really smart guy, and my father's been running logistics for a lifetime and dealing with problems. So when we deal with these items, we really try and reverse engineer and take out every single variable we possibly can to limit what those things can go wrong. But, that being said, anything can happen, of course, and our job is to try and make sure that we're preventing those things. Ultimately speaking, any call that gets made is made on the side of safety. But look, you have circumstances and situations where people will breach safety zones in boats that, and you'll have to stop the show. There's a variety of things that can happen. And we're constantly on the watch. We have security patrols, and you're on edge in a sense that, you're in a heightened state of awareness from the moment that you're locked into that initial countdowns and then right on through to the end of the show. Well,
we're all out of time, but I can tell you a lot of people are excited to see your work this Saturday. Augie, Santore, thank you for being with us here on CT22. And you can see the fireworks extravaganza, Sailfest in New London, coming up Saturday night. They begin at 9 o'clock. That is CT22 for this weekend. We'll see you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.